Hello everyone, welcome back for more Let's Play Ultima 1. As promised, we have Surat, and he's basically about as tricked out as we can get without leaving this area. Actually, I did have to walk a little bit further north to a different town because, well, this town only sells about half the spells. And that's kind of true across the globe. Each town you run into will sell one half of the spell list, with the other half of the town selling the other half. And it's just a matter of finding a second town, and in our case, it's nearby. But let's take a look at the stuff we have here. We have maxed out hit points. We still have no strength. We will cover strength in a second. Agility, stamina, charisma, wisdom, intelligence are all at 99. Gold pieces are at maximum. We have a bunch of reflect suits because there is at least one monster that loves to destroy whatever armor you're carrying. We have a few miscellaneous weapons that I haven't gotten around to selling because, well, I'm maxed out on money. And we have the blaster, which is the strongest weapon in the game. We have a full set of 100 of every spell available to a wizard in the game. We have a frigate, we have an air car, we have a shuttle. So we are about as strong as we can get at this point in the game. There's only one real goal left to actually prepare, and that would be to boost up strength. And we will go over that in a second. But something we should probably go over before we continue. The commands. This game is entirely done based on the keyboard. And there are 15 or so commands. They are all used by hitting the spacebar or a letter key, or walking around is usually the arrow keys. Some of the commands we have access to are completely unusable for us right now because they are only used during the space section of the game. But most of them are actually fairly basic. We have, if you want, you press A to attack, you press B to board, one of your modes of transportation. You press C to cast a spell, but you gotta ready it first, and you press R to ready either your weapon, armor, or spell. D allows you to drop. You saw me do that plenty in the previous video where I dropped a whole bunch of money in a pond. E is what you press to enter a town or dungeon or castle or whatever, a landmark. F, if you have a projectile weapon like the blaster or a pistol or the phaser, you press F to fire it and then it'll say, hey, pick a direction. Like, okay. Okay, that's right. Fire is just the fire a projectile on a ship, if it has one. So we are going to board the ship just to show off here. Fire cannons. The frigate comes with cannons, and it is a decent attack range, but it's not great. Again, we will go into why fighting in the overworld is kind of a pointless endeavor, and you should never do it if you can avoid it at all costs. If there are loose objects lying around, pressing G allows you to get one. The H key is useful during the space sections, but no other time. I is kind of the search command, and it's useful to find traps, except there aren't much in the way of traps in this version of the game. There were in the Apple, but not here, really. The K button is used to climb, because they, hard C there, and C was already taken. The N key will turn the sound or the noise on and off. O, if you find a little coffin or chest in a dungeon, you can use O to open it and risk a trap going off in your face. Q is your quit button, allows you to save the game. R is what you do to you ready, and it asks you weapon, armor, spell. You pick one of the three of them, and you pick one of the three, it brings up a list of all the ones you have, and you pick one of the ones you want to use. S is for steel, and yeah, I've almost never been able to make use out of it. every time I do find anything that I can actually encounter, I can actually steal from, it's too heavily guarded. Anyway, T is for basically talking to NPCs, even though the game lists it as transact. U, it'll unlock cells in the castles, chests and dungeons and all that. But you kind of need a key for the cells in the castles. We will go into how to do that much later, because that is one of the last steps we need to bother with in the game. V is a view, which changes a view in the space mode. X is for exit, it's where you dismount craft. And the Z button shows your stats. There. We have now covered the entirety of this, except for the arrow keys move you, and spacebar just kind of allows you to sit there and twiddle your thumbs while everything else around you moves. Because remember, nothing in this game moves until you do. All the NPCs and monsters and all that take one turn every time you do. So now, there are two things I want to cover in this particular thing, and that's first, we want to boost up strength. Well, the way to boost up strength is right here with Lord British himself. You saw me take that quest on the other character to go find the grave of the lost soul. Also, the Jester's probably going to steal from me, because that is what the Jester does. He steals from you. So we talk, offer service, and going forth and finding the grave of the lost soul is the only quest that the king's going to offer us. But we do that quest, and we come back, and he will give us some strength points, and then we can immediately take the exact same quest. So if you learn the fastest route to the grave of the lost soul, you can max out your strength in fairly short order. So let us talk a tiny bit about how this world is constructed. The world has 4 major continents. I forget the names of them right now. Sasari is the name of the entire world, but the other 4 continents do have names. I think one is like Danger and Death. The Land of the Lost might be another. I forget. It's been a while since I've actually looked at the names of the individual continents. It's largely not important. Let's see, what was it? Lands of Lord British, Lands of the Feudal Lords, Lands of Danger and Despair, and Lands of the Dark Unknown. There is nothing special required to get to them, except getting on something that is capable of water travel, like this frigate here. Speaking of which, let's go ahead and we are going to go ahead and board the frigate. Now we are floating in the water. Sadly, there is a problem with are you going to let me actually exit? Come on, game. Come on. Thank you. So, see, the thing is, we can't actually bring our hover car with us as we travel. We can take the hover car and land on the ship, but we can't, leave the hover car sitting there, and we can't park it on the ship and use it to get around. It'd be nice. It'd be very nice. But now, we have each of these 4 major continents, and each of the 4 major continents has pretty much the same stuff to find on it. It has 8 towns, it has 2 castles, each castle has a king, and each king on the castle will give you a different quest. There are 9 dungeons, and every dungeon in this game, all 36 of them, are nearly indistinguishable from each other, except they have a different assortment of ladders going up and down to get through and get to the bottom of the dungeon. And then there are 2 signposts. The signpost is what we are interested in now, because one of the signposts is indeed the Grave of the Lost Soul. So, that's what we're going to do. We're going to go to the Grave of the Lost Soul, and we are going to examine it. It will tell us our quest is complete. And now, if I am not mistaken, I just need to confirm that yes, I am indeed have traveled to a new continent now. We traveled west off the lands of Britain, and now we are in one of the other ones. I think this is Danger and Death. And there is a signpost. It's not the signpost we care about, but it is a signpost. It's kind of a useless signpost. This is the only actual useless signpost in the game. I think it's just meant there's a joke. But anyway, if we continue on, we see a little goblin there that wants to take a bite out of us. We find a different signpost. And this is the Grave of the Lost Soul. And if you notice, it says, no effect down there. Well, that is because these signposts, except for the one we saw that just said to go east, or go east to go east. Aside from that one and one other, when you visit them for the first time, they will give you a stat increase. Unfortunately for us, the stat increases only affect all the stats that are not strength. You guys really want to tussle? Okay. These are not the smartest people in the world. We'll just say that. But yeah, we have completed the quest. We are headed back to the British. And he will give, I believe it's kind of a random number of stat points. I hit B instead of E there. Gives us 11 points of strength. Now we can immediately take the quest again from him, and he will give us another batch of strength points for finishing it. So that quest will keep as long as we need it to. Now, let's talk a little bit about the dungeons. And why you do not want to fight in the overworld, if at all possible. Fighting in dungeons is a far superior way to fight if you really want to fight. Because you've noticed we've been fighting things out here, and the only thing it really would get us is some experience and some gold. Remember the talk from last time about how experience was kind of a something we don't really care about, like in the least. And we are maxed out on gold, and can easily max out on gold again without having to fight. So fighting in dungeons is fighting in the overworld gets us absolutely nothing. But if we go into a dungeon, we're going to get this. And it's going to jump us into this 3D maze here, and we've got, I believe, 4 corridors. Each level has 4 long corridors, like you see in front of us. Each level will have a ladder down and a ladder up, sometimes more than one. and each dungeon has 10 levels to it. So all in all, you got like 40 corridors, and every 2 levels you go down, the monsters get tougher. But why would you want to fight in here versus fighting outside? It's going to be kind of hard for me to show you, but we're going to see if I can... get the attention of something like this giant rat. And unfortunately, it'll tell us we find something, but we found coins and we are maxed out on coins. We do need to turn the noise on for this section, so I know when I'm getting attacked, because you hear that little trill sound. I'm trying to take a few hits here. Unfortunately, I am a bit beefy for the monsters on level 1, and they can barely kind of scratch me. But, you notice I've taken a few points of damage. So, you come down to a dungeon, you start to explore it, and we will have to come down to dungeons eventually for the monster kill quests that we will talk about soon. You kill things in there, and when you leave, the game keeps a running tally of all the monsters you've killed in there. Each one is worth a specific amount of hit points, and if you manage to survive and exit the dungeon, it gives you all those hit points in a big lump sum. So, fighting in dungeons can earn you your hit points back while you gain the necessary experience, or gold, or go after whatever it is. But fighting in the overworld gets you nothing. It's completely useless. Now I'm going to turn the noise off because I never want to hear that again. So, that will do it for this video. We have explained the dungeons, we've kind of explained how the world is set up, even though it's weird, because the game is set up to where if you travel straight in one direction, you're always going to run across you're going to run across all 4 continents. Now, this does have the weird effect that if you leave continent A, let's say the one we're on now, you leave it and you're going east, you can run into continent B. But if you go to continent B and you go east, you'll run into continent C. You go east, you'll run into continent D. So you think going east, you run into continent A, and of course you do. But it's weird because I swear that every now and then it changes up the order on which way you run into these. Because you would think, oh, we've got these laid out in a big square or something. No. It's kind of a weird pattern that if you leave continent A going north and continent C going north, I think you run into the same continent. I think both of them you run into continent D. It's weird. It's very weird. But if you go to continent D and go south, you may run into continent B. Now, it's set in the game, and I long since quit trying to map out this entire thing. But yeah, if you really want to, you can probably figure out exact going north from continent A, going east from continent A, west, south. You can probably map that out. I don't want to. I don't need to. because we're not going to be spending enough time traveling between the continents to make it worth our while. But just know that if you try to map out the continents themselves and their relation to each other, you're going to need multiple copies of each continent to kind of lay down and figure out exactly where everything goes. So yeah, don't. It's fun. Maybe one day I'll actually try it. Maybe one day I'll actually try it before I finish this Let's Play, but probably not. But anyway, the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to run that quest to max out my strength, and then we will begin the actual first real part of this game, which is finding the kings that give you monster kill quests. There are 8 kings. 2 on each continent, and one on each continent will give you the quest you want. Why you need it? We'll get into that when we get there. This has gone on long enough. So until next time, take care everyone.